Right now, we're facing a man-made disaster of global scale. Our greatest threat in thousands of years, climate change. If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon. The world's people have spoken.
Laudato Si, Misognari. Praise to be you, my Lord, one of the contacles of St. Francis de Assisi, the lines that we should embody holistically and spiritually. This indulge our spiritual beliefs on how we protect our environment
and how we see things in the name of the Lord.
We, in the case department, we advocate our environment. We nurture our talent. We mobilize our capabilities on how we preserve, we nurture Mother Earth. In the insight of being the vanguard of the environment, how do we actually protect the environment? Is it something that we need to follow?
Is it a policy we need to oblige?
Or is it the law that we need to amend?
And now, let us know on how we protect our environment in the context of Laudato Si.
But first, let us know the main objectives of this presentation.
To further elaborate and expand the topic assigned, relating this one in the mission of the case department in the environment.
To be aware of the gift of God in the context of protecting our Mother Earth as a fundamental mission of every Christian.
To integrate the moral of the Laudato Si and to instill this moral to the audience and as well as to the future Paulinian students.
The Chapter 5, Lines of Approach and Actions.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Chapter 5, Lines of Approach and Action. As we can observe the present times of the universe, we can point out the cracks within Earth. The course of action of every human that observe, that dues to the environmental degradation. The actions that we make has a great impact to the universe, making us to observe different pollution, different environmental degradation. And this course of action, we need to put on hold on this. We need to pivot our actions. We need to make a change, and we need to start now.
Dialogue in the environment in the international community, beginning in the middle last century and overcoming many difficulties, there has been a growing conviction that our planet is a homeland and that humanity is one people living in a common home. An interdependent world not only makes us more conscious of the negative effects of a certain lifestyle and models of production and consumption, which affects us all. More importantly, it motivates us to ensure the solutions are proposed from a global perspective and not simply to defend the interest of a few countries. Interdependence obliges us to think one of the world with a common plan, yet the same ingenuity which has brought about innumerous technical progress has so far proved incapable of finding effective ways to dealing with grave environmental and social worldwide.
Dialogue for new national and local policies. There are not just winners and losers among countries, but within poorer countries themselves. Hence, different responsibilities need to identify. Questions related to environment and economic development can no longer be approached only from the standpoint of difference of countries. They also call to greater attention to policies on the national and local levels.
Dialogue and transparency in decision making. An assessment of environmental impact of business ventures and project demands transparent political processes involving a free exchange of views. On the other hand, the corruption that is happening in the business industry that conceals environmental issues that is related with their business should be on hand and controlled. With these regards, in exchange of favors usually produce suspicious agreements which fails us to reproduce the protection of the environment. This adequately causes triggers and debate in the society.
Politics and economy in dialogue for human fulfillment. Politics must be subject to the economy, nor should the economy be subject to the dictates of an efficiency-driven paradigm of technocracy. Today, in a view of a common good, there is an urgent need for politics and economics to enter in a frank of dialogue in the service of life, especially in human life. Saving banks at any cost, making the public pay the price, foregoing the firm commitment to reviewing and reforming the entire system, only reaffirms the absolute power of financial system, a power which has no future, will only give rise to a new crisis after a slow, costly, and only apparently recovery.
Religious in the dialogue with science. It cannot be maintained that empirical science provides a complete explanation of life, the interplay of all creatures and the whole of reality. This would be to reach the limits imposed by its own methodology. If we reason only within the confines of the latter, little room would be left of aesthetic sensibility, poetry, or even reason's ability to grasp the ultimate meaning and purpose of things. I would add the religious classic can prove meaningful in every age. They have enduring power to open new horizons.
The entire material universe speaks of God's love. Soil, water, mountains, everything is, as it were, a caress of God. But we need only take a frank look at the facts to see that our common home is falling into serious disrepair. The earth herself, burdened and laid waste, is among the most abandoned and maltreated of our poor. These words come from Pope Francis's encyclical Laudato Si. I feel deeply inspired and overjoyed to share them with you as the Director of Catholic Earth Care, the Australian Catholic Bishops' Ecological Agency. This message radically redefines our relationship with creation.
The Pope would like to invite us to think more profoundly about the question of God's creation, what we have done, what we are doing, how we have defaced or destroyed creation instead of cultivating it, caring for it.
In Australia, we need to face the reality of the destruction we're causing to our common home. Climate change, coal seam gas, loss of biodiversity and pollution to our waterways mean that we need to turn away from fossil fuels. We need to embrace renewable energy, and we need to live in a way that is in harmony with this beautiful part of God's creation.
And a part of the Holy Father's challenge to us is to undergo an ecological conversion. Conversion may begin with an idea, an attitude, a feeling in the heart, but it is not a true conversion until it is acted upon.
One of the central questions in Laudato Si is what kind of future are we leaving to our children and to the future generations? I think we have so much to learn from our Indigenous brothers and sisters on the planet, particularly in Australia. The gift of knowing how to live in harmony with the ecosystems around us, to not be wasteful, to not overconsume.
So I encourage all the Catholic people of Australia and any person of goodwill to take the Pope's encyclical, to read it, and then to reflect upon how you in your life, in your family, in your community, can actually take some action.
The Holy Father makes an appeal to everyone. Contribute to make our common heritage God's creation as He has stated from the beginning, which is an invitation for all of us, believers, non-believers, Catholics, non-Catholics, of whatever faith. Every human being is appealed to react.
It's not too late. If we take the time now to pause and reflect on this beautiful message in Laudato Si, together we can take the necessary steps to care for our common home.